Hey everyone, welcome back to another cooking session. My name's Ollie and I run an Instagram account called Ota Cooks and Eats, which is just up there. I've been partnering with Hearts SU for a little while now, show you how to make some delicious food during lockdown. And tonight we are making a lovely Miso Aubergine dish. So I'm making this for my family, so we've got a slightly bigger portion, but we've got aubergine for the main body of our dish. We've got our aromats, which are garlic, ginger, red chilli and spring onion. In terms of the sauce or the glaze, we've got white miso paste, but brown miso or red miso would work absolutely fine. We've got soy sauce, honey and lime juice, and then we're just going to top that off with a little bit of coriander and some sesame seeds, and there's also going to be some rice that's served with it as well. So I will show you how to make it. In a new environment, I've actually moved back home with my my folks in St Albans, so back in Hertfordshire, and I've also had a little bit of a trim, so excuse the lid. But yeah, I will show you the ingredients for tonight's dish now. That means that the starch is kind of coming off the rice, and if you drain that and cook it in fresh water, it means that it won't kind of clump together as much. So whether you're cooking it in a saucepan or a rice cooker, I would recommend giving it a rinse first. So I'm actually going to do my rice in a rice cooker, which I think gives the best results. But if you are using a saucepan, I will tell you when to kind of get that on the go. Regardless of how you cook it though, one thing I'd recommend is to kind of soak your rice and just give it a little rinse. You'll notice that the water's quite cloudy. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prep our aromatics. We're going to start off with the ginger. Those who have tuned in before will know the teaspoon trick, but for those that don't, you can peel ginger just using your kind of preferred hand and a teaspoon to just scrape down, and I kind of prefer doing this. It's a less wasteful way of peeling ginger, so you want to do that and then I'll show you how to chop it up. So with the garlic and the ginger, you just want to peel that, get it out of its cloves and take off the heel of the garlic there, and with the chilli just slice the top off and in half again, and again you can use the teaspoon to get rid of the seeds and the pith. So if you want less heat, then you can just do that as well. And then we want to essentially slice all of these very, very thinly into julienne, so long, thin slithers like that. So do that with the chilli, the garlic and the ginger, and we're going to fry those off in some lovely oil. So hopefully you can see there, I've got the red chilli and the ginger kind of cut into matchsticks and the garlic sort of similarly so. I'm just going to grate a little bit of ginger as well that we're going to use for the sauce or the reduction to go over the aubergine. So now we are going to turn our attention to the spring onions. So you just want to top and tail these, so any kind of particularly odd looking bits at the end you're just going to get rid of, and we're actually going to kind of slice these lengthways, so hopefully you can kind of follow what I'm doing. I'm going to go down there, chop those in half again, and essentially we want to cut as close to vertically as possible. So I will show you in a moment what that looks like. Doesn't matter if these aren't kind of perfect, but we want very, very, very long slithers. So kind of that sort of shape, nice long thin strips of spring onion as they're going to cook and get lovely and aromatic. So there you can see in what is a rather beautiful plate, we've got all of our kind of aromatics and prep done. So spring onions, just make sure you give them a really good rinse because sometimes they can be a bit grainy. Garlic, ginger, chilli and a little bit of coriander that we're going to scatter over at the end. So I've just finished zesting these limes. We're actually going to use the zest at the end just to kind of scatter over the top, really, really nice. But the sauce is very, very simple. It's soy sauce, honey, miso paste and lime. You can absolutely experiment. Some sriracha is really nice, or some chili oil is really, really good in it. If you wanted to add some fish sauce, you can. If you wanted to add palm sugar instead of honey, absolutely fine. If rice vinegar instead of lime, absolutely fine. Keeping it quite simple today, but I will show you the ratios now. So I'm not really one for exact or very precise measurements, but I'm going to go roughly 4 parts soy, 2 parts miso paste, 2 parts lime and 1 part honey. But the beauty of this is that it's kind of down to you, so feel free to change those if you want it slightly more savoury, go for more miso, slightly more acidic, more lime, sweeter, honey, etc. And also feel free to add in other ingredients. As I say, I'm going to add in a little bit of ginger and maybe a little bit of sriracha as well. But yeah, play around with it, give it a little taste and kind of do it to your preferences. I almost forgot, I'm just going to add a touch of sesame oil as well. A little bit of this goes a long way, so just a little splash. Give it a stir up, and then if you fancy it, you can give it a little taste. The thing to bear in mind is it's going to be really, really strong, so you're looking more for balance rather than the correct flavour at this stage. So, as I say, quite strong, but it's nicely balanced. There's plenty of acidity, nice sweetness there, and then those overriding kind of savoury flavours as well. That's bang on. You can just see I'm just kind of using the tip of the knife there to go along, maybe, you know, centimetre intervals, something like that. And then you want to go the same the other way, so forming a little crisscross pattern, just being very careful, as I say, just to use the tip of the knife. And there you can see we've got that nice pattern. If you open that up, you can see there's little sort of crevices. So it's just creating a little bit more surface area and allowing that marinade to sort of penetrate and go a little bit deeper into the aubergine. So we're going to do that for both parts. So we are over by the cooker now. I've just got a pan on a kind of very low medium heat, and I'm just going to add some vegetable oil in there. You can use olive oil if you like, and you want to be fairly generous with this. Essentially what we want to do is kind of shallow fry those aromatics. So I'd say probably a good 3 or 4 tablespoons with that. And as I say, kind of low medium heat. We want to get all of those, so the spring onions, the garlic, the ginger and the chilli, all in there, and essentially that's going to kind of crisp up and infuse, and we're going to end up sort of topping the aubergine with all of those lovely crispy aromatics there. So you want to get those, keep an eye on them, make sure they don't burn. So the idea with these is that you don't want them to kind of colour too much. You just want them to sort of infuse into that oil and crisp up a little bit. We're going to drain them on some kitchen towel, and what will happen is once they go on there, they kind of crisp up, and you're left with this beautiful oil that we're going to save. So once we've drained those, we are actually left with a little bit of that lovely oil that's kind of fragranced with all of those delicious aromatics. We're actually going to fry our aubergines in that. So we're going to place them skin side down, kind of on a low medium. Okay, so those aubergines are kind of cooking quite gently on there, and what we're going to do, we're just going to kind of spoon over a little bit of that lovely sort of marinade liquid that we prepared earlier. At this point, you just want it to kind of medium heat, and as I say, we're going to then put lids on, so it's just going to kind of steam it, and gradually we're going to base that marinade over the top, but I will show you that as and when. Balance on the top rather than sort of coat it, because what can happen is that it will go down onto the pan and burn slightly because the aubergine takes a little bit longer to cook. So if you can, just try and place it on top like that, but that should be absolutely fine. Repeat with the other ones and then put the lid on. So in terms of the way to tell these are done, you can just sort of put a knife through them and you'll be able to feel kind of which ones, they do cook at slightly different rates depending on the size. So that one feels like it's almost there. This one feels like it's got a little bit longer to go. So just give them a little prod with a knife. You can already see the sauce is kind of soaking into those lovely divots that we've made. Keep an eye on it, as I say, you don't want the heat too high because the bottom will burn, and just take them off as and when they're done. Okay, so the aubergines are pretty much cooked. All we're going to do now is we're just going to finish them in the pan. So you want to put them face side down, skin side up, just for a few minutes on a medium heat. And what this is going to do is it's going to kind of crisp that, allow the sugars with the honey and the miso and things like that to kind of crisp up, go caramelise. We've also, if you look there, got the sauce that's just kind of reducing any excess marinade, reducing, and we can put that on top along with our aromatics. So in terms of the plating, I've just got the rice on one side and the aubergine on the other. You can see those lovely kind of crispy bits that we get from putting it on the face side down. A little bit of the sauce on the side, and then those aromats that we cooked off earlier just sprinkled on the top with a little bit of coriander, sesame seeds and lime zest as well. So that's my miso aubergine. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back in a couple of weeks' time. If you did enjoy it, please do tag us in your recreations at OT Cooks and Eats and at Hearts SU. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.